Hi, good evening everyone. Today is the day 25 of the Gear Up Mains Answer Writing. In this program, we are discussing the previous year question and we are going the week wise. In this week, we are discussing the international relation question. In the last week, we discussed about the polity questions. And we are going live from Monday to Friday at 6 p.m. Those who are new here, we are giving the question in the morning in the Telegram group of Edukemy. You can write the question on daily basis and you can submit the answer to the Edukemy portal. The idea behind this session, so you can learn the main demand of the question, exactly what the question is demanding. Most of the students are not able to understand exact what the question is demanding and they are writing the thing which is not required in the paper. आप वो चीज लिख के आते हैं पेपर में जो आपको आता है, but what exactly the question is demanding, so there should be a clarity on the demand of the question. If you are understanding the demand of the question, your 30-35% work is over, so you can divide the question into multiple parts and you can write the answer. And please try to do a brainstorming for 30 seconds, 1 minute before writing the answer. Read the question twice. Understand exactly what is the demand, what you will write in the introduction part, what you will write in the body part, how you will divide the body in the multiple parts, and how you will conclude the answer. Make a framework in your mind before writing the answer. So there will be a coherence in the answer. You will make a storyline according to the requirement of the question. So today is the last day of the international relation. Let's see the question. Today's question was related to the WTO. They are specifically asking about what are the key area of the reforms. Means the question is on the WTO reforms. Key area of the reforms of the WTO. What are the key area if the WTO has to survive in the present context of the trade war, especially keeping in mind the interest of the India. So the question is, what are the key area of the reforms if the WTO has survived in the present context? Means the trade war is going on, the trade war between USA, China, between the European Union and the UK, even the trade war of between the various countries. It's a group like USA, China, India, and some of the other country also. So we are getting the news on daily basis in the newspapers about the trade war, about the tariffs, about the WTO mechanism, about the panels of the WTO, blah blah blah. So they are asking about how and what type of the reforms WTO required to survive in the present context. To survive in the present context, and we specifically write the answer with the demand and interest of the India. So in the introduction part, we will divide the question as usual the three parts. One is the introduction part, second is the body part, and the third is the conclusion. So here the question having the multiple parts. In the body part we will write about number one, what is the problem related to the WTO in the current context. So in the body part, first we will write about the problems, issue related to the WTO in the present context. Then we will write about what kind of the reforms is required. What kind of reforms required. Third, we will write about the last part with respect to India, which kind is required. With respect to India, we will write the last part. In the body part, we will write the first, what exactly is the problem of the WTO in the present context. How is WTO becoming the ineffective in this time when the trade war is going on in between the different countries. In the second part of the body, we will write about the what kind of the change, what kind of the reforms in India in WTO can be done so it can tackle the present context of the trade war. And third, we will go specifically with reference to the India. Okay, with respect to the India, what is the requirement? Okay, so in the introduction part, here you will write about the recent trade wars. The recent trade war going in between the China and the USA, European Union and the United Kingdom, and the other various trade wars and the China policy related to low tariff policy. And they are dumping the goods into the another market at the lower prices than the home price. It may be related to subsidies, it may be related to agriculture subsidies. So you can mention these kind of the context in the introduction itself. This mention about the recent trade wars. And even also you can mention about the dispute resolution mechanism of the WTO, which is not perfect. Even now the appellate body is not working in the present context. So we can also write about the appellate mechanism. We also write about the trade war context, because the question is majorly about the trade war and the WTO reforms. The question was of the 15 marks. So we divided the question body in the 3 parts. So let's do the one by one, which part is required, which kind of the points. So in the first part of the question, we require WTO facing the issue due to the ongoing trade war between in the economy. Means what are the major issues the WTO is facing? So the first is the weak at multilateral framework. WTO is not an effective body when it's having a part of the multilateral framework between, means a framework between a different country, because the different countries comes up with the different kind of the trade agreements, bilateral trade agreement, multilateral trade agreement, and they're providing the various kind of subsidy, various kind of trade tariff related issues are solved by the different country, where the WTO is not performing very well. So in having a weak at the multilateral framework, when we are talking about the recent trade war condition, so WTO is not very good at a multilateral framework because of the various trade agreements between the country. Then we have come to the second part, inadequacy in the dispute resolution system, and the WTO dispute resolution system is not perfect. Means it takes time, it's not resolving the resolution in the present context of the country, it's not looking at what the requirement of the country. So whenever a problem is going to the WTO dispute resolution mechanism, it's taking longer time to solve it. So it's not focusing on the how we can solve a situation of the trade war between the two countries. So it's inadequate in the dispute resolution system in the present context. If we see the appellate body of the WTO is currently not in the working condition. They are forming a multilateral bodies of the different countries where they solving their disputes on its own. So this is a condition of the WTO appellate body. Then you can go to the greater bilateral and the regional cooperation. Now if we see, the countries are passing the various kind of a trade agreement. Even we talk about the RCEP, Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, and various multilateral agreements between the Pacific country, between the Asian countries. These are the agreements in which the various bilateral cooperation and multiple cooperation is against the WTO. So if they are going to the WTO dispute resolution mechanism, WTO guidelines, they are not able to do a huge amount of the trades. So they are giving the preference to the different kind of the country. They are doing the trade agreements at the zero cost, zero subsidies. So they are dealing with their own. So the greater bilateral and the regional cooperation in the present context is also undermining the WTO in this trade war area. Then the rising the protectionism. Rising the protectionism, how? They are imposing the various kind of the measures for the trade protection. They are increasing the tariff. They are charging the anti-dumping duty. They are charging the another kind of the duty on the products of the country. Environmental phytosanitary measures they are taking about, again the protectionism, which lead to the protectionism of the different kinds of the products. Like if I take an example, the USA is charging the 10%, 15% of the duty on the Indian products which the India is exporting to the USA. It may be the steel products, it may be the aluminium products, where they are charging a duty on the Indian products. So rising of the protectionism, their own company, manufacturing company protectionism, is also leading to the failure of the WTO in this present context. Then again the mega free trade agreement, so as we discuss about the different kind of trade agreements between the different country. And the finally the Chinese presence. Chinese presence is not counted even by the USA, even by the European Unions, because they are dumping their products. They are dumping their products at a lower price than even the China market price. So they are doing those kind of the trade which are distorting the trades. So you can write about the Chinese presence into the market which lead to the trade distortion, and these are some of the issues which the WTO is facing in this present trade context, in the trade war context. So if we are list them down again, we will write about the multilateral framework, dispute resolution system of the WTO, bilateral, multilateral agreements, mega agreements, rising protectionism by the country by imposing the different kind of the duty, and the Chinese presence in the region which is impacting the trade agreements. So this is the first part of the body you will represent. You can write in these 5-6 points about the ongoing trade wars and the issue faces by the WTO. Now come to the second part. What are the key area of the reforms required? We see first what are the issue. Then on those issues the WTO required some kind of the reforms. If we see the first reforms is the dispute settlement system. We also discussed about the settlement system in the issue also. Dispute settlement system of the WTO is not perfect. It's taking much time, having the influence of the Western country, not solving the dispute about the subsidies given by the country, and also impacted by the multilateral relation by the country, bilateral relation between the country. So the dispute settlement system, there is need to be improved the dispute settlement system related to goods and services by the different country. So it will help in the expansion or trades between the country if the dispute system of the WTO is very good. If you want to write an example, you can give the example of the India and America trades, where the America posed a case in the WTO related to the photovoltaic cells not buying by the India. Even in the case of the agriculture subsidies, the WTO is not able to solve the dispute. In the second case, reducing the trading cost. Reducing the trade cost means here WTO start agreement, trade facilitation agreements. Trade facilitation agreement means the different country can do a trade where it will help a smooth trade by the WTO. But this TFA, trade facilitation agreement, is only for the goods. This trade facilitation agreement is only for the goods. But India is a service dominant export country. So there is a question mark with respect to the India, because this TFA is not working for the India. So there should be a trade facilitation agreement with respect to the services also to serve the interest of the India. You can also write about dispute settlement, reduce trade cost, and next is about the review mechanism. So whenever there is a final decision on the dispute settlement system, there should be a review mechanism about the decision, and also there is a review mechanism of the ongoing process of the different country. How the different country are doing the trades, is they are following the WTO policy or not. So there should be a complete review mechanism. How the country are doing a trade, is they are following the policy of the WTO or not regarding the trades. So this review mechanism body should be a strong body for a smooth trade between the different country. So these three systems you can list first, then holistic approach in reforms of the multilateralism. In the multilateralism approach means when the different countries are coming together, they are forming a different kind of the agreements. How the WTO can change its approach. In the present context, many of the countries are coming together, like we give the example of the RCEP. In the RCEP case, when various countries come together and facilitate trade in between them on the different term and condition by the different country and serving the interest of a different country. So in this case, the WTO need a holistic approach. there should be a holistic reforms in the WTO about the present condition when the different multilateral countries are coming together and doing the trade. Need for the new rules. WTO needs new rules for the subsidies, need new rules for the present trade agreements, need new rules for the facilitation of the trades between the different countries, new rules on the protectionism of the trades, why the countries are protecting their trades. So these should be the new rules when the WTO is performing its duty. So next point you can be add here, the need for the new rules. Then the blockage and the deadlock in the appellate body. Like in the present context, the WTO appellate body is not working. This body is not working, maybe due to the blockade by the Western country, influence of the Western country like the USA. So specifically, there is a blockage in the appellate body, and that block of the appellate body is hampering the trade between the different countries. If there is no appellate body for the dispute settlement, then it will be a question mark on the WTO efficiency. So there should be a appellate body which can solve the dispute between the different countries. So this was the second part of the question, where what kind of the reforms is required in the WTO. Now we need to be right about the third part, which is about how the WTO reforms could be in the India side, how it can help India to improve its trade. So you need to be suggest some of the ways in which the India can take a most kind of the advantage from the WTO. एक अच्छा advantage India को मिले WTO के reforms, that you need to be right here. So the WTO and the India interest wishes to increase its export, means if the WTO is making a trade facilitation agreement with respect to the services, then the trade of the India will increase. So means WTO need a low kind of the TFA, where the cost of the services will decrease and the increase in the export of services from the India. Free and fair trade to boost India. WTO should make the rules and regulation with respect to the free and fair trade in the different country. Like some of the countries are doing, they're dumping their products into the market at a lower price than the market price. So that should be stopped, so it can increase a fair trade. And if they increase the fair trade, that will help to boost India's export also. Farmer interest in the trade facilitation agreements, like the India is providing the subsidies to the farmer, so they can survive for a longer run. They can export the food products from the India to the another country. So whenever the WTO is making its trade facilitation agreement to the interest of the developing countries, specifically to India, the farmer interest should be in the first front when they are making the policy related to the TFA. So the farmer interest should be on the first front. Then the agriculture subsidies like the minimum support price given by the India. So agriculture subsidy related to the fertilizers given by the government of India to the farmers. So these subsidies should be into the eyes of the WTO when they are making a framework. They should look at the condition of the country. The India is a developing country, so these subsidies should be allowed according to the government of India if they are making a rules related to the, if they are reforming the WTO, they should be in the mind of the WTO about the trade subsidies, about the agriculture subsidies. Issue of the public stock holding, yes, this is also the condition. When the India government is buying the grains under the MSP, they are buying the rice, they are buying the wheat and the many of the other crops from the farmers. So WTO is raising a question related to the stock holdings. And when the government is exporting this grain to some of the country at a lower price, then there is an issue by the WTO why the India is doing this, because they are providing the subsidy and it's distorting the trade between the country. So there should be a focus on the public stock holding also. Like you can give the example of the Russia-Ukraine war, where the India supplied the maximum of the food grains from its food stock. At that time, WTO have no question mark. Why you are giving grain to the Russia and the Ukraine at the subsidy level? So these kind of the system need to be solved when the WTO is making its policy about the recent trade war and the WTO reforms. And the issue related to the intellectual property rights, like for the vaccine developments, vaccine export to the different country, the WTO should look giving IP rights for a later 5-6 years. Means 5-6 साल के लिए rights ना दिए जाए intellectual property rights to a particular company. So they can be given to the all the country of the world where it's having a requirement. During the COVID time, there will be no intellectual property right for the 5 years. So they can be distributed to the any of the country where these vaccinations are required. So there should be a clear-cut idea on the related to the IPR, because there should be a equality all over the country and all the product can be exported to the another country when there is a case of the pandemic, when there is a requirement of the reducing the poverty. So in that case, there should be a no IPR for a few time periods. So these are some of the reforms which require in the present context of the India, where the India have a age with respect to the other country. If the WTO is forming, the reforming on its own regarding these kind of the issue related to the India. So this is the three kind of the cases. The last one was about the WTO and India interest. Second was about the key area reforms of the WTO, and the first was about the ongoing trade war between the different country and what is the issue faced by the WTO. So these are the three kinds you need to be addressed. You can write about the two of the issue in the explanatory mode and represent the one in the form of the diagram, in the form of the schematic. So you can save your time and the presentation can be better. In the conclusion, you can directly conclude by concluding about the WTO. There is a need to be reforms in the WTO according to the present context. There should be a focus on the appellate mechanism. There should be a focus on the review mechanism and the trade facilitation between the country related to the goods and services. And also about there should be a reforms according to the multilateralism. So every country have a same kind of the role in the WTO instead of the only the Western influence which is right now. So you can conclude the answer in this form. So this is about the WTO. We will start the next subject from the Monday. The GS3 we will start specifically with the economy part. We will start from the Monday to Friday. We will do the economy. Till now we completed the modern history, ancient medieval and the culture, geography, society and the international relation as well as the polity. Now we will start with the economy part, so where we can discuss about the various kind of the economic question which was asked earlier by the UPSC. I hope you are liking this session. Please try to write the answers and submit to the portal so it can be evaluated. Without writing the answer, there is no use of these classes. If you're just seeing the video and not writing the answer, you're not evaluating yourself before the exam, it will not be much fruitful to you. Please try to understand the demand of the question, break the question to the various part and try to write the answer. Okay, so we will meet on Monday at 6 p.m. with the new question related to the GS3 economy. Thank you. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.